Continue with that big story of the day, shooting taking place in Gauteng. As we mentioned, the MEC for Education and Youth Development, Panyaza Lesufi, outraged by this incident. He joins us now for the latest. MEC, a very good evening to you.
Good evening. Are you well?
I'm well, thank you. And how are you?
One day we'll all be fine.
Especially considering this incident.
Yeah, it's painful. It's a sad day for the entire education sector. If we have people that are so determined to execute their mission, regardless that their children playing, we must know that we are entering a dangerous era, that unless we stop it, all of us will not be safe.
Preliminarily, has it been ascertained that it does indeed include taxi associations and it is an issue of rivalry, MEC?
Yes, my interaction with family members and my interaction with community leaders there, it's quite clear. Actually, this parent that passed on survived almost 3 assassination attempts, the latest being in June this year, and also that the family lost a child through this process as well. And when they went to bury that child in the rural KZN, the entire family came under attack, and their taxi was sprayed with bullets. So it's linked to the sector, but we don't know what is the cause. And what concerns us is that no one has a right to come closer to a school and open fire, especially when children are playing. You know, it saddens us. But when I had discussion with the mother of the child and the grandmother of the child, it was quite clear that it's a difficult time for them.
So just to clarify, we've got as one of the casualties a grade 6 learner, and then it was a parent, a grandfather who'd come to pick up his 2 children from his grandchildren from the school trip, who also died. So was it just those 2 deaths that were reported thus far?
Yeah, those 2. And
anybody else injured during the shooting?
Our information, we just met people that said the bullets missed them and other things. We don't have information of other people being injured, but I'm told the cartridges that were found there, the spent cartridges that were found there, almost over 18, I'm told. So it means that...
There are also reports suggesting that 2 bodyguards or guards were killed at the school. Has that been confirmed?
No. I visited both schools. Nothing so far. It's only the learner and the parent that we've just indicated.
And is there clarity on whether or not this vehicle was waiting, just how close in proximity to the school? They say outside of the school. Is it within
outside
500
the house of
meters?
The child. The family said that Kumbi was standing outside their house for almost 2 to 3 hours. So they were not aware that he's waiting outside to kill their own child. It was literally outside the family house of this child. And when they arrived, it just moved. I'm told they just opened fire, regardless that there were children all over there. So it's just sad, but we just have to comfort both the family and the school and ensure that our children don't have this picture, because lots and lots of our children witnessed this incident. And when our social workers were working with them, the things that they were saying, if we don't assist them now, they will be permanently hurt. So
are you able to share some of how they reacted to the incident, or how it affected them?
Immediately after the incident, they said majority of our children could not sleep. And they were scared to go back to school, saying that they will be shot as well. And requesting their parents to take them to other schools, and asking that they saw their friend lying there, where's the friend, and they want to go and fetch him. So it's harrowing stories, but we've put a strong team, and I want to thank all the NGOs that came on board to assist the department and the Department of Social Development. I'm also pleased that our Premier, David Makhura, has already appointed a judge to preside over a commission of inquiry on this kind of killings. And we are hopeful that...
But what would be the scope specifically? When you say these kinds of killings, will be taxi-related?
Yeah, taxi-related killings. The Premier, and it has already gazetted, so a retired judge will preside over that hearing, that inquiry. So we are hopeful that it will then provide the relevant information of why people...
What would be the terms of reference? What are we looking at here?
To establish who's behind this and to establish who's funding this kind of killings, and for what purpose? Where are people being hired, and who are the people that are assassinating her? Because that industry is really under serious threat. So we just have to find this inquiry so that the inquiry can provide the information that can assist the state.
As MEC of Education and Youth Development, do you think that young people are likely to be vulnerable, caught in the crosshairs, a crossfire between these rivalries? I mean, we're talking about this particular incident. Does it make it the first and only, or is it likely because of the violent society we live in that another school could be finding itself in this position?
I don't want to say another school. I will say all of us as South Africans are not safe. If you check the statistics released by the police, it's quite clear that we are vulnerable. And I'm sorry to say this, and I'll apologize to your viewers. These are dogs of war, serious dogs of war. Regardless of whatever you can do, you can't stop them. The nature of the high caliber weapons that are using, you can't put someone with a knobgiri outside the school and say must be a security guard. And we can't even afford the caliber of the weapons that are utilizing there. So if you can't match the caliber of the weapons, it simply means that all of us are exposed. And if
so what would you then do? I mean, given this kind of situation, it happens within the parameter of the school, it involves learners and the family, but as you say, you can't match the security to protect them.
It's law enforcement agencies. They must come to our rescue. You are right. We are an education institution. If I have an option to hire a teacher and have a security guard, I'll hire a teacher. But law enforcement agencies must prioritize schools. They must ensure that they patrol. They must ensure that those that are doing this kind of things are thrown into jail. Because if we don't arrest them and throw them into jail, they will feel that they can do as they wish, and exactly what they've done. So our law enforcement agencies must honestly assist us.
So how would you do it then? Would you call for greater presence within schooling hours? Would you ask for a greater budget perhaps to beef up security at schools? I mean, some we know have metal detectors, but that hasn't necessarily stopped the violence.
We are saying that we must be at the center of police patrol. Reality is that, so that when households strengthen their security, when businesses strengthen their security, who's exposed? It's schools, churches, and NGOs. So we are sitting ducks, we are sitting targets. So if law enforcement agencies can't prioritize us, we're going to have this kind of incidents. I mean, the story I've just narrated, if somebody come and kidnap a child outside the school premises, we don't have a reaction squad, we don't have a crack squad that can respond to those kind of things. So you rely on law enforcement agencies, and they've done well on this case. They've managed to trace people and arrested them. So I say,
so are you saying arrests have been made in this?
Not on this one. I'm just saying on the learner that was kidnapped. But we said to police, activate your 72-hour plan that you normally activate when this kind of incidents happen, and ensure that before we bury both the parent and the child, we can go back to the family and say the culprits have been arrested. I think that's the way that we can comfort these families.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, MEC. That is Gauteng Education. MEC Panyaza Lesufi will be looking at this from a security perspective in just a moment with researcher Mary de Haas. After the break, please don't go.